All right, welcome to 7A, about personal finance. Quite frankly, this is probably one of my favorite discussions that I have with you, because I show you some things that you may have not realized that you've been doing. Before I talk about all that, first, let's just go through some basic definitions. The definitions, you know, probably, if not all of them, most of them, like income. Income is simply the money that you have coming in. All right, whether it's from your job or your parents, your grandparents, or some other reason, whether it's financial aid, it's money that you are getting. Expenses is the money that you are spending. Okay, that's easy enough. Whether it's on books, whether it's on gas, Lord knows we know it. We got to buy gas. That's such and such. All right. Gross income and net income, they are a type of income. All right, so it's kind of like a subgroup. Income is how much you're getting in, but gross income is usually like on your paycheck. You have a statement that says gross income, and it gives you a number, and then it says net income, and it gives you a lower number. Well, gross income is the money that you make before taxes, and net income is the money you make after taxes. The easiest way for you to remember this is that the government thinks it's gross for you to have money. The government thinks it's gross for you to have money, and therefore they take it and they net it. And so what you get is the net income. All right? They think it's gross for you to have money, so they tax you, and you get the net income. All right? So that's a good way of remembering it. Government thinks it's gross. Can't say that enough. I just like saying it. All right. The next thing is net monthly cash flow. All right. We all have experienced this, even though we don't know what this may mean. It is the money that you have after subtracting your income by expenses. So the money that you have coming in is subtracted by the money that you're pushing out. And sometimes you can be in the positive, which is what we call being in the black. You may have heard that. Other times, which happens to be my case, I'm in the negative. I seem to have more bills than I have money, and so I end up getting negative money. And I think a lot of you probably had that same situation. Hey, we're humans, we do the best we can, right? That's what it means by net monthly cash flow, is how much money you have. Are you in the good, which are you in the black? Are you in the bad, which is in the red? Okay, and then prorate. This is something that you might not know as well. This one is basically when you get a large sum of money, you're going to divide that money evenly over a period of time. And we'll talk about this in a little bit later. Before we begin these case studies, I need to kind of give you a little disclaimer. I may step on your toes by accident, because what I'm showing is common things that people do, and how those common things that we do from a day-to-day basis actually affect our personal finance. Some of those things, I'm going to pick on my wife first. She drinks Mountain Dew. I'm going to pick on myself, where I used to eat out every day. I'm going to pick on some people that I do at my old job. I won't give names on that. One of them, I'm going to pick on him because he was a smoker. And the other guy, he loved to play the lotto. All right? So I'm going to use those four things, because those four things just about everybody who is listening to this can relate to, probably, or more than likely. And I want you to see how much money you're actually spending and you don't even know about it. All right, so again, if I offend you, that's not the point of this lesson. I just want you to be informed about some of the decisions that you are doing and how it affects you financially. All right, now, disclaimer over. So let's talk about my wife. All right, my wife loves a Diet Mountain Dew. She always has, ever since I met her. And when we used to live in Aurora, North Carolina, and her job when we first got married was in Greenville, so she had to drive an hour. And every morning, well, on her way to work, she would stop at the gas station in Aurora. She would buy 2 Mountain Dews. All right, and then she would drink one on her way. She'd save one for lunch, and then after after her work was done, she would stop at a gas station in Greenville and buy a third Mountain Dew to drink on the way home. So every day, Monday through Friday, she was drinking 3 Mountain Dews. But not only that, she drank Mountain Dews on the weekends. 3 a day. Same thing. She drank 1 in the morning, 1 around lunch, 1 in the afternoon. Alright, so not only did she buy them at the gas station, but we bought them in bulk. And so we're going to make a little assumption here. Let's just say that we were paying on average $1.50 per Mountain Dew. Now that's not entirely accurate because we know that Mountain Dews can be about $1.80 to $2. Trust me, I know they're about $1.80. I have bought a lot of them for my wife. Alright, so let's pick on them. $1.50. Let's just use that number. $1.50 times 3 means that my wife was paying $4.50 a day. But she drank these things all the time. It was every day of the year. So there's 365. So I'm going to multiply that by 365. When I do, 450 times 365 gets me $1,642.50. This was how much money we were paying for my wife's Mountain Dew habit, Diet Mountain Dew habit, was $1,642.50 a year. That was just for her. Not including anything that I do. I've got my own habits. But that was her habit, okay? That's insane. I could buy a lot with this. Just think for just a moment. I know we're not going to do this. My wife's got her habit and she wants her Mountain Dew. That's fine. But what would happen if we could do this? Put $4.50 in a jar every day instead of using it to buy Mountain Dews. Look how much money we could have during the Christmas season. That's pretty cool. I mean, I'm talking about Christmas because it's almost Christmas the time I recorded this video. And I really wish I had some money to go buy Christmas presents. But that's really interesting to me. That's how much money we're just on Mountain Dew. Alright. So, let's pick on me. Alright. I used to work at Walmart over there in Newbern. And I worked an 8-hour shift, and then at lunchtime I get an hour off. I could not stand to be in that same building during that hour. I had to get up and get out of that building. Just had to. So I would get up and go buy my lunch somewhere. Sometimes I would go to Cece's Pizza, which where at the time it was like $5 for a meal. It's going up since then. Or I would go to Chick-fil-A, which might cost me around $7 to $8 for a meal. Or I would go to my very favorite place, which was a place called Aggie's. And that would cost me about $10 for one meal. But that was a good $10 wasted. I would love to have some more Aggie's cheesesteak. Alright, so I did this 5 days a week. I always went out. So for the sake of argument, let's just pretend, because this is a very good estimate, that for one meal is about $8. And this is very true because you can hardly buy a meal for yourself for less than that. Even at McDonald's, not a decent meal, not one that's going to really fill you up, okay? You might, I go to the dollar menu, Mr. Lewis, and I can go get me one of those little rinky-dink cheeseburgers that about the head of the size of a chihuahua's head. Look, I'm not going to get a cheeseburger that big, okay? I'm not. That's the size of a 50-cent piece. It ain't going to work for somebody like me. I need a big burger, okay? All right, so don't argue with me. Well, Mr. Lewis, you need to lose weight. Be quiet. All right, so yes, I'm random. $8. I did this 5 days a week. I'm not going to include the weekends because I ate at home on weekends. So that means that I was spending $40 a week just on food. How many weeks to a year are there? There's 52. So 40 times 52 weeks gives me this amount of money $2,080. This is how much I was spending a year just on eating McDonald's cheeseburgers that just like don't stay with you, or anything else like that. That's how much I was spending. All right, and of course it made me fatter. All right, whatever. That's a lot of money. All right. Now, what could I have done to save money? Your first thing to say, well, cook at home. You're exactly right. I could have cooked at home. I actually make a meal now that can feed my family of 4 over a period of 2 days, and it costs me $10 to make. Okay, so this $10 is split over 4 people over 8 days. So if I divide it by 4 people, okay, so 10 divided by 4 gives me $2.50 a person. But it's good for 2 days, so I can divide that by 2. That means that this one meal that I make is $1.25 a person per meal, because I make it at home. I spent $2 more to make it, but it feeds my family of 4 for 2 days. That means that it's $1.25 just for one meal. That's a whole lot better than going to McDonald's and buying for $8. That's one way I could save money. It's the same thing with you. If you are like me and you were doing this or still are doing this, consider about saving some money and learn how to cook. Alright, so picked on my wife, picked on me. Now I'm going to pick on somebody I used to work with. This particular person was a extreme, and quite frankly, we called him Uncle Roger. I'll give you that much. Uncle Roger was an awesome dude. I loved that man. I really did. He taught me a lot, and he means a lot to me even now. He influenced me to be who I am today. But Uncle Roger was a heavy chain smoker. He smoked 3 packs a day. Now, to my people out there who don't realize what this means, this is a lot, okay? My smokers, most of the time, most smokers usually do maybe about half a pack to 1 pack a day. So if you know anybody who smokes, they can attest this is a lot of cigarettes to smoke in a day. All right, and again, not to offend, just to inform. All right, he did this 3 times a day. Last time I checked, one of the cheapest packs of cigarettes you can buy is about $5. That means that Uncle Roger was paying $15 a day to smoke. Multiply that by 365. And you find out that he was spending $5,475 a year. That's a lot of money. That's almost half the cost of a used car. Did you catch what I said? That's half the price of a used car. Now, I'm not going to tell you to quit smoking for any reason, but if there was a reason for you to quit, that's a good reason right there, especially if you're doing that much a day. You can go buy you a car in about 2 years. Cash, if you just put that in your little money bank every day. Alright, again, this is not to hurt, it is to inform you what you may not realize you were doing. This is personal finance. The last person I want to talk about, I'm going to call Mr. Lotto. Mr. Lotto was a friend of mine. And he loved playing lotto. He just did. And so there was one day he came into work and he said, "Hey everybody, I've won $500." And we were like, everybody was like in the room was like, "Yeah, that's great. That's wonderful. I'm so happy for you. That's $500 that you just won." All right? And that's cool, you know. He won $500. This is how much he won. Well, because I'm a jerk, I couldn't help it. I had to ask. I said, when was the last time you won anything, just out of curiosity? He said, well, it's been about a year. And I said, it's been about a year? And he said, yeah. I said, so you haven't won anything over the past year? And he looked at me and he said, yeah, but I just won $500. Isn't it this great? And I was like, well, that's cool, but can we talk for just a second? He said, all right. I said, so you're telling me you haven't done anything in the past year? And he said, yeah. I said, so nothing at all? No, this is the first time I have won in a year. Okay, want you to get that perfectly straight. And I had to talk to him, make sure we understood. I said, well, let me ask you a question then. About how much do you spend a week? He told me that he spent this is how much he spent now. $20 a week on tickets. He would buy the normal tickets. That's all he would do, is just $20 a week. $20 a week, okay? And he would buy the dollar tickets and stuff like that, etc., etc. Matter of fact, when you go to look at his vehicle was just piled with lotto tickets all over it. But anyway, $20 a week. Well, all right, so $20 a week. Multiply that by 52. He spent $1,040 on lotto tickets, but he won $500. Well, this is how much he spent. This is how much he won. So, this is very similar to your income. This is very similar to expenses. So what was his net cash flow over that past year just on lottery tickets? Well, he won $500. He spent $1,040. So subtract it. So 500 minus that gives me that he was in the hole. He lost over the course of a year $540 over the course of a year. Now some of you are like, well, I always break even. Well, that's fine. Good for you. But most people don't have that good luck. Most people are like my friend Mr. Lotto. They get every now and then a nice little chunk of change, but they're still in the hole. And they don't even realize what's happening. And you might be in this category, all right? So, case in point, what could Mr. Lotto have done with this amount of money? All right. Now, I'm not knocking this. That's just a simple question. If you play the lotto, good for you. I'm not knocking you. I hope you understand that. Everybody has their vices. My wife had Mountain Dew. I had Bojangles. All right, etc., etc. So we all have vices and things that let us enjoy it. But what I really want you to understand when it comes to your personal finances, the little things that you don't realize, the stuff that you just do every day, you do not have a clue how much you really are spending over the course of a year. So my suggestion you do, and me and my wife talk about this all the time, is look, if you are struggling with money, seriously, if you are struggling with money, look at the things that you do that are your hobbies or stuff like that and see what you can cut out. All right, this is what we call cutting the fat. Again, I want you to understand that those 4 case studies about my wife, Mr. Lewis, Uncle Roger, and Mr. Lotto, those little things, I hope you were not offended by them. If I stepped on your toes, please forgive me. It's not the intent of this lesson. The intent of this lesson was for you to maybe see how your daily habits, wherever they may be, actually affects your personal finance. And not only do these are just a limited amount of things that could possibly affect how much money you are spending throughout the year. There may be other things that you might do. I don't know. My habit is I like to buy video games. Video games are expensive. I don't buy them as much as I used to do. I can't afford to. Other thing is I am a big book nerd. I would love to have $500 in my pocket right now so I can go to Books A Million or Barnes & Noble and just buy all the books I want. I would love to be able to burn $500 on reading some books. Okay, now that sounds stupid to you probably. I don't know. Maybe you might be a book nerd like me. Who knows? So we all have habits. those habits affect our personal finance. And that's really where I want you to understand. No matter what those habits are, whether they're good for you, bad for you, or whatever, if you are not careful, it's going to hurt you financially speaking. All right, that's the big take I want you to see from those 4 case studies. Not to hurt the main. Now, those case studies are done. I'm done talking about it. What I want to do now is I'm going to cut to the computer and I'm going to show you a few problems on your homework that I'm not going to solve them for you. I am going to kind of discuss them. So let's cut to the computer now. Alright, so like I said, I'm just going to go through a few of these things. I might jot down a few things on the side. But I'm not going to waste a lot of time. I think this video is already going longer than I had intended. Alright, so these problems are really some common sense problems. You just need to stop and relax. Now, let's just look at this piece of information here. I'm not going to read all this, but it says college graduates, blah, 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 blah. I will tell you this. It has some very good information in this paragraph, but here's the problem. This question that's being asked down here has nothing to do with the information that's up here. So really what you need to understand is that this part, what I've got highlighted, if a person lands a job earning $10.50 an hour, what would it equate to as gross yearly wage, assuming 40-hour work weeks throughout the year? That's the question. This paragraph up here is just some information that concerns even you as future college graduates, that you may have a hard time finding a job. That's really what that paragraph up there is telling you. It's trying to prepare you for the reality. Just because you may get a degree does not necessarily mean that you can get a job. Okay, now that sounds harsh, but that's the reality of life, and I need you to understand that. So I'm not trying to destroy your dreams, but you do need to realize that a degree does not equate to a job all the time. In order for you to get a job, you're going to have to really put yourself out there, and you're going to have to prove to your future employer how good you really are. All right, so after you've done all that and you've landed a job, it's just asking, if you get $10.50 an hour and you're doing a 40-hour work week, how much you make throughout the year? Well, I think you can figure this out, and I'm going to let you figure this question out. So just remember, it's $10.50 an hour. You're doing 40 hours a week, so you can calculate how much you make in 1 week, and then you know how many weeks are in a year. So you should be able to calculate how much your gross wage would be after you get paid. All right, now remember, it does say gross wage. This is the money that you would make, or this person would make, before taxes. All right, let's go on to the next one here. 2. All right, this is this one is a common sense one. I really want you to read this one and try it on your own. This one is also common sense. This is very similar to the case studies that I showed you about your daily buying habits and how that it may actually affect you and how much money you're spending a year. So kind of think about those case studies that I showed you when doing this problem. In this problem, it says compute the total cost per year of the following expenses. On an annual basis, the first set of expenses is blank percent of the second expenses. So it says that Vern buys 10 lottery tickets each week at a cost of $2 each and spends $3.50 on his textbooks. So let's just calculate how much it cost him a year just on lottery tickets. Well, it's 10 tickets a week times $2. So he's spending $20 a week just on lottery tickets. And now we multiply that by 52, and we find out that Vern is, get rid of this, Vern is spending $1,040. That's a year just on lottery tickets. But then it tells me that they spend $750 per year on his textbooks. Well, we want to see the percentage of this and how they compare. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide that by 750. And when we do this, we're going to then multiply by 100. And so we're going to say 1040 divided by 750 times 100. And you get the number 138.6 infinity. Now the problem says to round to the nearest percent, so it's 139, and that's 139%. So his lottery tickets cost 139% more than what he's paying just in textbooks. So let's see if we're right. 139. And we are. Let's check out the next one. All right, we'll give you a heads up on question number 5. This right here is about interest payments. I'm not going to be talking about interest in this video, so this question you will have answered in the next video. We'll talk about it then. So we're going to skip 5 for now and watch the next video of the module for it. Let's see, question 6. All right, Sarah pays... okay, here we go. It says, for the example below, next question, for the example below, prorate the given expense and find the monthly cost. Sarah pays $4,600 for tuition and fees for each of the 2 semesters, plus an additional $310 for each textbook. All right, so let's clean off our little workspace and talk about what's happening here. All right, so it wants us to prorate this information. Well, let's first talk about it. It says Sarah pays $4,600 for tuition and fees for each of her 2 semesters. Well, we're trying to do this over a year, okay? If she is going to school for a year, that's 2 semesters. That means that to find out the cost of the entire year, you're going to say that it's $4,600 times 2, all right? And we're finding out how much she spent for the entire semester, or the entire year. And we get $9,200. So it cost her $9,200 to go to school for a year. Then it says, plus an additional $310 for textbooks each semester. So it's $310, but she's going 2 semesters, okay? And that's going to give us $620. So we want to know the total cost that she is forking out. That means that over the course of a year for her education, she's paying $9,820. Now, the problem says the prorate wants us to find the prorated monthly cost. So the principle of this is, if Sarah was able to spread the cost of her college over a course of the year, how much would she be paying per year? Or per month, excuse me. So we know that there's 12 months in a year. So we're going to divide this evenly by 12. That's what it means to prorate. We're dividing it by that amount of time, which in this case happens to be a year. So 9,820 divided by 12, we find out that she is paying approximately $818.33 a year. Excuse me, a month. I keep saying a year. A month. So the problem asks us to round to the nearest dollar, so she is paying about $818 a month. All right, that's what it means to prorate. Find out how much it costs an entire year and then simply divide by 12 months. Okay. Now, sometimes you might want to prorate it over a different time frame. It might be prorated over 6 months or over 3 months or et cetera, et cetera. But this is the main gist of things. Okay. This one, I'm not going to work this out, but I am going to give you a hint, because we are running long now. It says that you need to find the net monthly cash flow. You have the income, and it gives you how much they're making, their job makes a month, how much their college is given, their grandparents are giving them a month, and how much they're getting a year. Then it also gives this person's expenses, the rent, the groceries per week, tuition, and incidentals. Incidentals. Just so you understand what this means, incidentals include stuff like Diet Mountain Dews, going out to eat, going to a club, going out with your friends to watch a movie. That's really what incidentals are. It's the other things that you can't just make a simple list of, because it's the daily things that we do in life. All right? Now, Your job in this particular problem is to find out the total income this person is getting a month. Notice that this right here has a scholarship per year, so you're going to have to prorate it for months. Once you find out how much income they're making a month, let's just say for the sake of argument, and this is not going to be the correct answer, let's just say for the sake of argument that they're making $1,500 in income. All right, this is our income. And that we also have to calculate their expenses. So rent, groceries, notice that this is $40 a week, so your job is to find out how much a month that is. Notice that tuition is $3,600 twice a year, so you need to prorate that per month. And then incidentals are $70 a week, so you need to find out how much incidentals cost per month. Once you know all your expenses, you can say, for the sake of argument, let's say our expenses happen to be, I don't know, $1,700. You want to find the net monthly cash flow. Now remember, at the very beginning of the video, I told you that we're going to take the income and subtract the expenses. We find out that the net monthly income for this person is negative $200. And what does that mean? It means that this person, and I'm going to rewrite it, is actually in the red, meaning that they're in the bad. Well, and so that's a very possible answer for this case. Now, that's really what we're looking for, is how much the cash flow. So what you'll do is you'll ultimately calculate your income, calculate your expenses, subtract the two, and you find your net flow. Okay? Let's look at the last couple things. This one I will have to show you. I'm going to pull this over. Oh, it won't let me pull it over there. All right, so this one right here, it says a single 30-year-old woman with a monthly salary of $4,100 spends $1,000 per month on rent. So, and then it gives you a chart, all right? And then you see all these percentages, all right? What you have to find out is what percentage of her money is being spent just on rent. I'm not going to tell you how to do that. I want you to try this on your own. You need to find out how much she is spending just on rent. What's the percentage? And then you're going to compare her percentage to this chart. So here we go, housing. And she's a 30-year-old, so we're looking at this color. Here we under 35. All right, under 35 is pink. So the national average for people under 35 is that 34% of their income just goes to housing. If she is, whatever percentage you find for her, you're going to compare to that 34. And you're basically going to ask, it's below the national average, equal the national average, or above the national average. All right, and that's the biggest hint that I'm going to give you on this problem. Calculate the percentage and then compare it to this chart and answer one of those three questions. All right. This one, I really want you to try on your own. This is actually a good one. You will have to do some prorating in this. I'm going to leave that one to you. And this is another one I'm going to leave to you because this is very interesting. So, I've covered basically this entire section 7A. I know this video is longer than I had probably hoped for, but I hope that you may have learned some from this, especially when it comes to your personal habits of what you might be doing. Hopefully that maybe it was informative, that you just didn't realize the things that you were doing in your life that actually are costing you a huge amount of money. And again, I say this again, and I've said it all this video. I hope I have not offended you because that was not the point. My point was to inform and maybe to enlighten. All right, so this video is done. And the next video, we're going to be talking about interest and interest rates. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.